The Prime Minister in the Cayman Islands, you'll see his trip on just one station.
A local attorney who was double booked to appear in court has his say on the matter. We've got the story in the Bahamas tonight.
And COB pride on display. The Bahamas tonight. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Everyday.
The country's leader among a high number of powered speakers zeroing in on the importance of crushing a potential danger to Caribbean communities. Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles.
And good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings. The Prime Minister was addressing delegates attending Cayman University's Caribbean Conference on creating a corruption-free Caribbean. He talked about challenges faced by the Bahamas in addressing the serious issue of corruption, which is threatening to take a toll on regional societies. Tonight, our Opal Roach is in the Cayman Islands, and she tells us that the Prime Minister talked about measures implemented locally to combat the scourge.
In its various forms poses a formidable challenge to governments everywhere.
It's against that backdrop that Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, stressed that more must be done to weed out corrupt practices across the Caribbean. He also pointed out that the Bahamas has had its share of scandals dating back to the 18th century and more recently the 1980s and 90s, with several inquiries into alleged corrupt dealings. But in rebounding, the country signed on to international anti-drug and corruption conventions requiring states to assume authority over a wide range of corrupt offenses, including domestic and foreign bribery. Now, despite the stain and negative reception, Mr. Christie noted that there is a moral center that undergirds anti-corruption initiatives.
The best anti-corruption systems are not necessarily achieved by legislative frameworks and administrative machinery to enforce rules governing the behavior of those in public positions. While such things are of great importance and utility, probity in public life tends to be more rigorously observed in societies in which both government and the community have a shared responsibility in inculcating and observing ethical values and integrity in public and private life.
And in keeping its image clean, Mr. Christie pointed out that the country's anti-money laundering systems will be reviewed this year by the Caribbean Financial Watchdog. But it doesn't stop there.
The Bahamas will likely introduce before the year's end specific legislation dealing with anti-corruption in a form of either a new Prevention of Corruption Act or Integrity in Public Life Act. This new act will specifically implement the provisions of both the United Nations and Inter-American Anti-Corruption Conventions and create an Integrity Commission to supervise the administration of the act and oversee the process of public financial declarations.
From corruption ties to piracy, rum and drug running over the years, the Bahamas has pulled itself up and is in good standing in the global arena.
The Bahamas is ranked 22nd. 22nd on a list of the 177 countries that were evaluated with a score of 71 out of 100. The Bahamas, 71 out of 100. This puts the Bahamas just 2 points behind the United States of America and second only to Barbados in the Caribbean region, and Barbados ranks 15 with a score of 75.
The Prime Minister told the regional delegates that in moving towards a corruption-free Caribbean, they must learn from the past and lead by example. In the Cayman Islands, I'm Opal Roach, ZNS Network News.
The opposition Free National Movement today chimed in on the Prime Minister's ethics speech this afternoon. In a statement, F&M Chairman Darren Cash says Prime Minister Christie ought to have declined the opportunity to speak at the gathering in the Cayman Islands, not only on the basis of the amount of work he has in the country with the implementation of value-added tax looming, but also because of what the party calls Mr. Christie's, quote, record of victimization, failure to condemn recent comments by Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller that reference physical abuse, and the perceived lack of transparency in governance. This is the first public statement by the embattled F&M chairman since news of a memo authored by Cash was leaked to the press, where he criticized his party on the issues of gaming, the regularization of web shops, and value-added tax, positions the F&M once supported but now oppose. Mike Howell, Member of Parliament v. Alfred Gray, is backing the Prime Minister's decision to intervene on behalf of value-added tax coordinator Ishmael Lightbourne, who was facing foreclosure.
Well, Prime Minister Christie revealed last week that after understanding Mr. Lightbourne's financial plight, he made a call to the bank's managing director to find out what he could do to help Mr. Lightbourne save his home. However, his intervention was criticized as an abuse of power.
But last evening, Mr. Gray commended what he called a Good Samaritan approach, explaining that if he saved one mortgage owner from losing his home, it ought to be praised and not condemned.
The Prime Minister was present when the bailiff came, and I think he responded as any compassionate man would have done in those circumstances. Every member of Parliament, if they want to be honest, constituents come to them for help in either helping to pay their mortgage, the light bill, the funeral bill, any kind of bill. And sometimes we do offer whatever assistance we could. And I don't see why the Prime Minister should have been criticized by the Nassau Guardian for trying to intervene to stop this man, if he could have, from losing his house. And then they say he's using his office. Well, for me, I feel it was a gesture that the Lord looked at and blessed him for.
Well, still on the news from the House, the Ministry of National Security to take advantage of the new maritime school to assist in specialized training of Defense Force Marines. It's part of an overhaul and upgrade of the military force as Marines prepare to work with the new state-of-the-art equipment and sailing vessels to come. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage described how the local institution will assist the Defense Force.
The new maritime school here, we're having discussions with them so that either they will acquire a bridge simulator, or we may be able to locate our bridge simulator there, and they can help us to do some of the training for Marines, and we can assist them in a complementary way, so that we have an institution here where we can train, where we can carry out sophisticated training of the Marines who have to man these vessels.
Well, we reported yesterday that House members agreed to the resolution to borrow $232 million to purchase the 9 new vessels, as well as upgrade facilities and improvements to the HMBS Nassau and Bahamas. Minister Nottage said because of the demands being placed on the force, more hubs will be created.
Currently, we have Defense Force officers in Grand Bahama, and we are acquiring property to put a proper base in Grand Bahama. We have a small unit in Bimini to help us with the management of the port and with other duties. We're going to have them in Ragged Island. We're going to have it in Inagua. We have Defense Force officers in Exuma. And so the Defense Force officers are we're gradually decentralizing the Defense Force.
4 bills passed in the House of Assembly are another step closer to becoming law. Today, senators heard the first readings of amendments to the Excise Tax, Forestry and Tariff Acts, and a bill to establish the Bahamas Geographic Information Systems data infrastructure. Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Attorney General Senator Allison Maynard Gibson, also gave notice at Thursday's sitting the intention to make a resolution to convey the Rodney E. Bain building from the Treasurer to National Insurance. Now, before the Senate adjourned to Monday, March 24th, opposition leader of business in the Senate, Carl Bethel, expressed concern about the Senate not meeting on a timely basis as it ought to. We understand the senators are expected to begin debate on Monday.
I rise to, first of all, join with the leader of government business in wishing all senators a happy new year. It is somewhat, no doubt, embarrassing both for the leader and myself at this late stage, a quarter of the way through the year, to be wishing senators a happy new year. Hopefully, at the CPA conference that is coming up next week, we can find ways to make this body more active and more important in the parliamentary process, because the perception of the public out there is that we are paid and we rarely meet, and what function do we really serve. In fact, when I was on the Constitutional Commission, this was a major criticism of this body, and so I trust, Madam Leader, that we will find ways to improve the parliamentary functions of this body.
And I am not embarrassed that the first time that we're meeting this year is in March, and I am not embarrassed to come to the Senate when it is summoned, Madam President, to serve this nation, hopefully our people will believe, with distinction. I want to note, Madam President, that certainly in all the debates that I have participated in since 2012, we've debated matters that are of extraordinary importance to this country. We have debated with civility, and we have been capably and ably led by you, Madam President, for the most part, to enable us without rancor, although we have political differences.
A trip of evangelization turns to tragedy.
And COB celebrates Carib Pride. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
The news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.